Hello and welcome to Hanratty on Karate. John Hanratty here. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about loyalty and breaking of trust. Now in karate this goes particularly with students and instructors. Over the years I've taught many hundreds, probably thousands of students. I've had thousands of students. I was just checking on my Menjo list there, which is a list of Menjos I have. Menjos are the certificate you get for your Dan gradings. When you do a grading, if I grade you to a certain Dan grade, everybody gets a certificate for it. And I've kept a record of them probably since about 1989, 1990. And over the years, I've probably graded 300 to 400 Shodans and Nidans, Sandans, Yondans, etc. It gets really few when you get up higher. And the loyalty factor comes in almost straight away. If people have been with you as far as black belt, you obviously form a relationship and an attachment to them. Particularly younger people, I tend to have a fond spot for kids, and especially as you grow older, you realize that dealing with young people every day, or whenever you go to the dojo, every couple of days, the relationship and the feeling that you have with dealing with young people is really beneficial and healthy to somebody my age. It kind of keeps me young. I don't keep up with their slang. Of course, I had a problem the other day when kids were discussing who's got Riz and who hasn't got Riz, and I wasn't aware what Riz was, and they had to explain to me it's a condensed version of charisma, which kind of, makes sense in some ways. Anyway, dealing with the young people, usually by the time they get to Shodan, in my club anyway, they've done 4 or 5 years training with me, so I see them once, twice, sometimes more a week, 3 times, 4 times a week, and sometimes they'll have private lessons, and so I get to see them more. So you always form a relationship with them, and their families and parents and friends. Everything grows. So over the years, of course, they'll leave. Now, a lot of people leave as soon as they get their black belts. Not always because they feel they've reached where they wanted to reach, but maybe to move off to university somewhere or get married, or they have certain life changes. It's just a passage or a rite of passage in your life, and things will change, circumstances will change, and you may no longer feel that training in karate is what's needed in your life. Myself, I don't get that kind of attitude. It's always been what I've needed and what I wanted to do. But I understand other people's feelings. Now, originally, many years ago, I've been teaching for maybe 10 years in Canada. Now, I had taught previously in the UK at the Triangle. I taught the kids class at the Triangle for a number of years before I came to Canada. And I missed all those kids, but it wasn't my club, so I didn't have the investment that I had when I started my own club and brought my own students along and got my first black belts and, started to build up a student body. So whenever a student would quit or leave, particularly one who'd got to Shodan or even longer, it was very painful. And I started to analyze this and realize that you can't blame yourself for a student leaving. Often you'll examine the motives and you can ask them why they left, but most times they won't really tell you. Now, this could be embarrassment or, just something that they just don't want to discuss. Maybe they feel themselves that they're a failure and they don't want to admit it. It could be, I don't know. And over the years, I've gotten pretty hardened to this, and now I tend to shrug it off. You can't do nothing about it. People's lives change, people change. As you get older, your outlook changes, your priorities change, your goals change. It's nothing personal, and what an instructor has to do is realize that it's not personal. Now, I know some instructors can't get their heads around this, and they take everything personal. Oh, I couldn't come to class today, my dog was sick, and they take it personal. Most instructors I know who've been around 30, 40 years and, trained all their lives and taught all their lives, they'll just shrug it off and go, okay. What this does is it kind of levers the guilt onto the person who's, trying to make the excuses. We know their excuses, and we want you to know that we know their excuses. So, you deal with it. I am not going to take any guilt for something that you are doing for yourself, right? It's you're not going to offload it onto me. Now, over the years, I've had some serious people who've trained with me for many years, 20 years, 30 years even, and then they've suddenly quit. Now, that's a lot harder to get over or even to grasp a hold of as to why they do it. Now, some of them, even they wanted to go teach on their own, and a number of people, especially in Calgary, I went and started the clubs for them. I signed the lease for the premises for them and ran them through my instructor's course, helped them, even went down to the dojo maybe once a week or once a month, and just to see how they were going on. A couple of them changed affiliations from my organization to somebody else's. And that was okay. I discussed it with somebody, and they just felt that, we want to compete in this circle, or we want to go to these clinics or seminars and stuff like that. And that was okay. I don't mind that. I mean, I went to many seminars myself. I didn't stay with my original organization, which was KUGB, which was then affiliated to JKA. I stayed with JKA up until 89, 90, when we split with Nishiyama. It was easier to split with Nishiyama than it was for Anoida. I still stayed very good friends with Anoida, and we corresponded regularly and even played golf when he came over to the States, even though I wasn't with the JKA at the time. But with Nishiyama, it was more political. His goal in life was to get his organization into the Olympics, and his politics, I wouldn't say superseded his karate, because he was an amazing karate instructor. His seminars, however, were pretty much standard things that they just churned out every time. His seminars were almost all the same. You spent most of the seminar sitting on the floor listening to a lecture type seminar, which didn't suit a lot of people. They like to get up and move and practice what the instructor's showing them or telling them about, and demonstrate it and be corrected, and hopefully learn something, then just listen to lectures. I'd say that was his seminars. However, his training in his own dojo, which I went to on quite a regular basis, was vastly different. It was just the way most people run a dojo. It was a lot harder. You sweated your guts out. You worked like crazy. You'd have you do your kata or a drill over and over again. His kumite sessions were brutal, and you come away with a lot more inside, and you took a lot more from his training sessions in the club than you ever did from 5 or 6 of his seminars, which were pretty much all churned out the same. So I didn't feel so bad when I left Nishiyama's organization, although I was asked to stay with the Canadian branch of the JKA by Yasu Sakurai, who's in Vancouver, asked me to stay, and I just said I don't think I could do it. I don't think it would be right for me to do it the way I feel. Now, I took the time to explain to Sakurai why I left the JKA, and I would hope, I always looked, if people did leave my dojo, you can't stop them, but I always asked them why, and sometimes they would tell you, sometimes they would just prevaricate and, give you some phony excuses and stuff like that, but you always knew it. And originally, as I say, I used to feel bad about it. It used to break me up. I think I'd invested so much time and, energy, and tried to give this person the right direction in karate. When I'm teaching karate, I don't really look on it as a teaching job. Just look on it as I'm showing you the path. I've been along this path before, and I'm showing you the way, and it's up to you if you follow it. Hopefully you will, But if you don't, then, you have your reasons. Maybe you can discuss them with me. But when you're asking for a reason why somebody's leaving karate, it might just be that they just don't want to do it anymore. And they have a different outlook. I find most people have a different outlook on karate, and they do it for vastly different reasons than I do. I have a drive to learn karate. I have a drive within me to know everything I can about it. That's why I study the history, I study the applications, I delve deep into the techniques, and I want to get them right, as right as I can. And in teaching, I approach it with the same attitude. I want to show you the right way. I want to show you why you do it, how you do it, and the history behind what you're doing. It's a little bit hard when you get somebody who you've trained for 20 or 30 years and they just stop talking to you and they just stop training with you, and they may move to another organization. They may just drop off entirely. But you can't take this personally. You can't blame yourself. And you can't really try to retaliate in any way. The best thing you can do, and this is from personal experiences, I've had a few people who've gone on to start their own clubs, joined other organizations, and we've met later and they've been fine, or we haven't met later and we just dropped out of sight altogether. And it's okay. That's what I want to tell you. It's okay for this to happen. People change. They change for reasons that you can't know about. What may be important to you is not important to somebody else. What you may prioritize in your life, they may not. And you can't force your priorities or your beliefs on anybody. It's not like a religion, although people do kind of compare karate to a religion. It's not a religion. But believe me, I have had people drop out of karate because they said it was against their religious views. I tried to tell them it's not religious views, but they didn't like the idea that it was infringing on what they believe were their religious views. It's not, and you just got to leave it alone. You got to forget about it, realize it's not your fault, and hopefully if you can find it in you, wish them luck in what they do and where they go. But if you are thinking of quitting, then maybe just do your instructor the courtesy of letting him know why. Believe me, he'd probably understand a lot more than you think. Even if it's just, I don't want to do it anymore, my body hurts, or I don't want to do it anymore, it's too hard, or I haven't got the time, or my personal life is going this way and karate's taking me that way. Whatever it is, it would be nice if you had the courtesy to just say why. If it's something personal against the instructor, then, just let them know. We're all big. We're not so thin-skinned that we can't take a little bit of criticism. Believe me, I've had a lot of criticism for the way I teach, the way I speak in some ways. I've had parents come up to me and tell me I shout at their kids too much, or, I'm too strict with them and stuff like this. That's okay. If you believe in what you're doing and you believe that you're doing it to the best of your ability and the way that you're doing it suits your personality, then don't change, okay? Let them figure it out. But if you're planning on quitting, then, as I say, do your instructor the courtesy of letting them know why you're quitting. It's just good manners. And if you do get somebody quit on you, then I would say don't worry about it. Don't fret over it. And definitely don't take it personal. It's not personal. It's them. It's not you. It's them. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. Okay, so have a good day. And as usual, all comments are welcome. And stay strong and keep training.